Hey guys, welcome to speakaudibly.com. My name is Mike B. And I'm here with my son. We're playing at the dog park here. It's amazing. Hey people, Mike B. Wills, speakaudibly.com. Here in my backyard. It is hot. It's hot in Fort Worth, Texas. Man, I was at the park today with my son, my wife. You know, my wife is pregnant and we're trying to get this baby, our new son, just to get him out, man. We're so ready for him. You know, we're past the due date, so we're just in kind of that limbo of like, how do we help best, you know, welcome this young dude out and kind of give him a little bit of a push, you know. But we went to the park so she could walk around, and as she tried to kind of go to the bike path, you know, we enter the park, she walks down there, and a lady who's part of a birthday party, kind of in this field area that, you know, the path surrounds, she's standing there at the stairway, and seconds before my wife came to her, another individual was walking away from her, and he was upset. He was so upset. And he was just like, you can't rent out the entire park. Like, you can't have the whole park. And he was just yelling at the top of his lungs as she kind of stood there with this like little smirk on her face, you know. And so as my wife walked up, I thought to myself, should I walk over there? Because I don't want my wife to get worked up, not while we're trying to have this child, you know. And I see the lady kind of say something to her. I see my wife kind of respond and then kind of walk past her, you know. And what had happened was, you know, there's a birthday party there, and yes, the person did, rightfully so, you know, they rented or you know, whatever, however that looks like, they requested to have the park for a birthday party yesterday or today, and that was making this lady believe that no one else could come into the park, right? And I just remember sitting there thinking, like, there's such a better way to communicate this. And most of the time there is, right? Most of the time there's a better way to communicate. You know, so I began to kind of see it from that lady's perspective. She paid her, you know, $150 or whatever it was to have the park for, you know, 4 hours or however much it is with the park district here in Texas, right? And so she had this emotional tie to the park at this time, right? Because she put money down. And for those of us who you know, you make money, and you know, it doesn't come cheap to you. It takes hard work to get the money that you earn. So when you give it to something, you have an emotional tie to it, right? And this lady, you know, she just had such an emotional tie that she was literally not allowing people in certain parts of the park. Now, I completely understand that, and I empathize with that, because yes, I put my money down, I paid for the time to be here. You know, I want my time for my family, my friends, for our birthday party. But when you take a step back, when you take a couple steps away from that, and you look out into this huge field, right? And it's surrounded by a bike path, and this person in their party is probably taking maybe, no lie, probably maybe an eighth. If I were to break that whole section down into 8 equal sections, they are inhabiting, right? they are living and having their party in 1/8 of that section, but yet she's keeping everyone away from the entire thing. And it's kind of like, okay, so now if I were this guy and I'm trying to teach my kids, which he was trying to teach his kids how to ride bikes, right? He had an older girl. I would say she's probably 10, 11, and he had a younger son, right? And he had to have been, you know, 7 or 8 years old. He wanted to teach him how to ride a bike. So this is a big moment as a family. So now I'm looking at it from his perspective. Of course, this lady's standing there with her hands on her hips telling him, you can't come in this side of the park. He was emotionally tied to his plan, right? His plan of, I'm about to, as a dad, step into this phase of life where I get to teach my kids how to ride bikes. It's huge. So he has this emotional tie to what he's doing. So he just explodes, just erupts, you know? And I was thinking to myself, man, each of these people could have communicated that way different, and the outcome would have been much different, right? For example, if I'm the lady who spent the $150 reserving this park for however long I'm reserving it for, I'm reserving this park, right? I go to a person and I say, hey, right now my family is in this section of the park, and we're having a birthday party, but our plans are that we're going to use the field to play a couple games. That won't be for another, 15, 20, 25 minutes. So, if it's okay with you, you go ahead and run around the park, teach your kids how to ride their bikes or whatever your plans are. But in about 25 minutes, if I could go ahead and have you guys exit that side of the park so I can go ahead and continue my party that I paid for. I mean, everyone understands that. Yeah, I was out there for 25 minutes, whatever, teach my kids. Cool. And then at that point, we'll move to another section of the park. Awesome. You paid the money. Cool. Right? And it just makes so much sense. It just makes so much sense. But because everyone allowed their own pride and their own emotions to get involved, we sat there and watched this whole thing play out. Right? And my wife, she's pregnant, she's ready to have this kid. It's over 100 degrees out here. Oh, she wasn't gonna let the lady stop her regardless. She just walked on by. Like, yep, do what you gotta do, I'm walking. But man, I was just thinking, if only each of those individuals cared about the other's emotional tie-in, cared about the other's plan, just being considerate of the other person, that conversation would have went way different. Way different. Now, at the end of the day, other individuals from the party went and spoke with the family, and they probably communicated something to that effect, because then the family, they took their bikes out, and the lady who kind of stood guard at the front of the park went and sat down at the party and hopefully enjoyed herself and not stressed too much about what was going on. But I think that was just one of those moments in life that if we only take a step back and empathize with the other party, understanding what it is that they have invested into every event or into every situation, what was their buy-in, and how can I kind of, I don't know, not necessarily get out of the way of that, but how could I accommodate that within my own plans, right? So if there was anything I could just challenge just us as people, man, just to, let's be more considerate, right? For the small percentage of people who are in this world out to get people, right, out to do bad, they're there. Let them own that, right? For the most part, I don't think that a whole lot of them are going to really affect my life anyways. But I hope that I can affect theirs, because if I spread enough love, enough encouragement, enough motivation, just maybe someone close to them, that small percentage of people who are literally out here to do wrong and do bad, maybe we can impact them as well. So that's all I got for today. Just wanted to make sure I documented that, because it was crazy. It was crazy. Well, remember, man, speak audibly. You have a voice. Let it be heard.